In the 89th year of the Bel Lost Empire, the great general Kazan would defeat the Berserk dragon. Upon his return home, he would not be greeted as a hero, but instead was framed for treason and was banished to the snowy mountains. Beaten, broken, and the tendons in his arms severed, what was being transported through the mountain pass could hardly be called a great general. What was left was nothing but the shell of a once great warrior. Where pride for his empire once was, only hatred remained, which made this shell of a man the perfect vessel for an evil spirit to possess. As Kazan would be transported in his cage, an avalanche would come down on the warrior and his escorts. By some divine intervention, Kazan would survive. It was true, Kazan did not survive by his own merits. He had help, but it was far from divine. His body was being possessed. Needing Khazan to survive, the evil ghost would heal the warrior's injuries and grant the general the power to overcome death. Being restored to full health and being granted powers from the netherworld, Khazan would set off in the hopes of reaching civilization. However, his journey would not be one of ease, for he was not the only survivor. The remaining guardsmen were actively looking for him. To make matters worse, these mountains were dangerous enough without the guards, for it was the home to giant bears and yetis which saw humans as no more than food. After slaying guardsmen and beasts alike, Kazan would come face to face with his greatest challenge yet, a Yatuga. Yetis, who were about twice the size of an adult male, were strong. Their fur, which was as tough as metal, acted as a perfect natural armor, and they were quite nimble for their size. One Yeti could easily kill 3 to 4 guardsmen. The Yatuga made the Yeti look like a family pet in comparison. Its teeth were razor sharp, giant ice shards would stick out from its back, and it could shoot an ice blast from its mouth. But most terrifying of all was its sheer size, standing at twice the size of a Yeti. Despite the overwhelming disadvantage, Kazan would move to fight the beast head on. Steel versus Fang, nature versus the netherworld. After a hard-fought battle, Kazan would stand victorious. With the battle won, Kazan would be on the verge of death, and despite his best efforts, he would collapse from the exhaustion. Fortunately for him, the Snow Mountains was home to the Bantu tribe, who found him and nursed him back to health, through more natural means. Upon his awakening, Kazan would be greeted by Kimuki, who seemed to be a shaman or perhaps the village chief. She would explain to Kazan that he had been possessed by a ghost, but not just by any ghost. Many evil spirits had merged into one, making it far more powerful. If he wished to be rid of it, he would have to conquer the trials of the Snow Mountains. After being fed and outfitted for his journey, Kazan would venture into the mountains, ready to accept whatever lay before him. Moving deeper and deeper into the mountains, Kazan would find his first challenge, where he would be forced to face all of the innocent lives that were lost during this war. Ghosts of those long since passed asking why he couldn't save them, asking him why he couldn't just get here a little faster, asking him why they had to die. Kazan would be rid of the apparitions and reclaim his abilities with the great sword, making him that much more powerful. Next came time for the warrior to obtain his powers with a spear, but to do so, he would have to face the men he had led into battle, the men he had led to their death. Unlike before, the ghosts were trained warriors and would not go down without a fight. But once again, the mighty Kazan would prove victorious. With 2 trials down, only one remained to be conquered before he could challenge the evil spirit inside of him. He would enter the stage ready for the final challenge, only to be faced with his former self, when he was still a general. With more determination than ever, Kazan would leap into action and fight his mirror image. The physical aspect of the battle would prove difficult, but would feel like nothing compared to the mental onslaught that Kazan would put himself through, understanding that he was going up against an empire, understanding that getting to the emperor was nigh impossible, and coming to the realization that nothing he would do would bring back any of his fallen comrades. Despite the mental anguish, Kazan would strike down his mirror image, vowing to avenge his best friend, Ozma. Having defeated his mirror image, the great general Kazan was ready to face the evil spirit inside of him. Entering a realm only those who had completed the trials of the Snow Mountains, he would be greeted by a chorus of evil spirits claiming that now will be the time to conquer his body. Now is the time to declare that he belongs to them. The spirits would gather together, creating a red miasma of pure evil, and a form would take shape. The form of a warrior known as Blade Phantom. This being would be stronger, faster, was more versatile than Kazan, had more weapons than the general, could use magic, teleport, infighting, outfighting, any position on the battlefield was to the Blade Phantom's advantage. No matter what Kazan did, the creature's onslaught would not stop. But Kazan persisted and kept fighting. After the two had exchanged blows, the Blade Phantom understood that Kazan would not go down easily and began to take the fight seriously. The spirit's onslaught became more vicious, new tactics, new weapons, new magics. Everything and anything was thrown at Kazan to bring the mighty general down. If anyone bore witness to the fight, the winner would have been clear. Blade Phantom was simply the better fighter. And in the outside world, the winner would have been decided long ago. But in this place, where the two fought, one's strength was measured by the power of their will. No matter what Blade Phantom did, Kazan would not stay down. And for the first time, Blade Phantom would find himself on his back at Kazan's mercy. Kazan declared he would have no master, but that he'd be willing to work with the evil spirit. If Blade Phantom would grant Kazan power to enact his revenge on the Emperor, then he would help the spirit bring order back to the Netherworld. With their interests aligned, the general and the ghost become one. The great general Kazan, who barely escaped with his life, entered the snowy mountains in the hopes of ridding himself of an evil spirit inside of his body, a journey most would not return from. But if anyone could return, it would be him, and return from the trials he did, but not as the great general. Kazan had returned as the first berserker. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. That is all we know about the story so far for Kazan the First Berserker. When the game is out, I'll be doing like a full story recap of the game. If you want more of that content, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, all that good stuff. Peace.